Good morning, students. Today we are starting with the chapter 6, that is molecular basis of inheritance. See the word over here, I'm saying about the molecular. So we are studying the basic part of the inheritance chapter. You understood the principles, now you are understanding the molecular basis. Now when I say molecular, we have only understood till now is about the chromosome. So we know the inheritance is through the chromosomes. But we do not know what is present inside the chromosome. So till now, it was all about one by one the person gave the idea to the next scientist. So the discovery of chromosome was clear and the behavior of chromosome was also clear. So just to recall the history, you remember Mendel's pea plant experiment, Charles Darwin about evolution. Okay, so they gave the idea or the mechanism behind how what is that characters are factors are according to Mendel, and in case of Darwin he spoke about the variation, and both of them were speaking about the heredity part, how it is passed on to the offsprings. Then Walter Fleming, this person, though he discovered chromosome, he did not term the name as chromosome but he termed it as chromatin. Okay, so he is the first person to recognize it. The term was given by Heinrich Waldeyer. So later on you all know from Mendel's theory, two people had given a strong acceptable theory, that is a chromosomal theory of inheritance. So it talks about the transmission of genetic characteristics. We are talking about heredity here in detail. Okay, but still there was a proof that was lacking, which was explained by T.H. Morgan. So Sutton and Bovary's theory, that is chromosomal theory of inheritance, and Thomas Hunt Morgan's linkage studies as well as the recombination studies. So he's trying to talk about the variations that is passed on or that is created in the offsprings. So this is all began with the first structure, the nucleus. Where is nucleus present? Inside the cell. So you all know a cell consists of many cell organelles. Okay, so these cell organelles are controlled by the master organelle called nucleus. I'm not going in detail. In the nucleus you will find the thread-like structure called chromatin. So this person, Fleming, was the person who gave the name chromatin, but later on, as the studies were going on, they came to know chromatin became highly coiled to form chromosome. So when I say chromatin, it is just a thread-like structure. Now what about the chromosome? It is highly coiled, okay? So very highly coiled. This is called as your chromosome. So I hope you got the idea now. Loosely coiled, tightly coiled. So if it is loose, we call it just as thread-like. Thread-like means chromatin. If it is thick, we say chromosome. Now, we are going very back to the idea of the nucleus of the cell discovered by Robert Brown. So this is all about who discovered. So I'm taking the history part right now. Not very important. For your CT point of view, you can recall them. But today we are studying about the nucleic acid. What is nucleic acid? Nucleic acid is present inside the nucleus and it is of two types, okay, and it stores genetic material. It stores genetic information. So the person who discovered nucleic acid was Friedrich Mischer. So this is the in detail we are studying. Chromosome has within it a tightly coiled chromatin. Just observe how the chromatin is. There is a packing system. The blue color line is your DNA, and there is pink color circular structures, those are your proteins. So there is some mechanism of packing of DNA with the help of protein. Okay, so that DNA I'm just showing here, the blue line is shown here. So if you observe carefully, you can find this was all under very advanced microscopy. They could identify this DNA structure. Okay, so you will come to know who identified it and who proposed it. So earlier scientists were only creating the theories, and the other person used to take the theories and modify it once it becomes acceptable, and the other person becomes well known. This is somewhat stealing, but then this is how science works. If one person cannot find it, he or she will give the basics. From there, if it is derived and you have got the right one, and then it is like awarded with a Nobel Prize. So those are all accepted ones, well known ones. That's how the story goes in case of finding the DNA structure. Okay, so finding what that DNA is, how the DNA is inside the chromosome. So there are two types, DNA, RNA, of that is your two types of nucleic acid. Okay, when I say DNA, we all know what that DNA is. Deoxyribonucleic acid. When I say deoxy, one oxygen is lost. Okay, at the second position of the second carbon atom of the ribose sugar. Don't worry, structure I'll show it to you. Now when I say the DNA, you should be able to remember the deoxyribonucleic acid as the full form. It is composed of sugar plus nitrogenous base, not nucleic acid, nitrogenous base and phosphate. Okay, so it is present in every organism, both in prokaryotic and eukaryotic. So it behaves like a characteristic. Okay, so as I said before, it contains genetic material, that is, it stores the genetic information. So this is your 1 mark question. Okay, to expand DNA, please do not mistake it, write it properly. It is ribo, we are cutting the word. The sugar is ribose. Okay, sugar is ribose, but when we name it, we say deoxyribonucleic acid. We are going in detail with the DNA. RNA will come later on. Okay, so RNA also it can be a genetic material, but in case of humans, in especially eukaryotes, RNA is not acting like the genetic. It is only acting for 3 types of purposes, which we will study in detail later on. So now I'm just giving an explanation of DNA. So there is your RNA, there is your DNA. I'm going in detail with the DNA right now, because in eukaryotes as well as in most of the overall living organisms, DNA is the one which is majorly present. Now the DNA has, as well as your RNA has, 3 types of components. The 3 components are, first one nitrogenous base, second one pentose sugar, third phosphate group. So if you have to remember what is that pentose sugar to differentiate from RNA and DNA, as I said earlier, RNA means ribose sugar, DNA means from this ribose one oxygen is lost, that's why deoxyribose. To know it better, you can observe here. This is the second carbon atom. supposed to have the OH, but in that OH, okay, you just observe here, look at the second carbon atom, and look at this one and the second carbon atom. Okay, when it is written as H2, it means C, here one H, below also one H. Okay, see here it was supposed to be OH, but then the O or the oxygen is removed. That is why it becomes a deoxyribose at second position. So second position is here, where I have underlined. Let me show it in another color. This is the position. Here it is here, the pink dot. So I hope it is clear. What is that ribose and deoxyribose? It is the same pentose sugar. When I say pentose, 5 carbon skeleton. Okay. So pentose sugar, we are talking about the example ribose. In case of DNA, deoxyribose. So just to know, there is nitrogenous base. So what are the nitrogenous base? There is your thymine, there is your cytosine. Why am I showing these two? Look at the number of rings. There is only one ring. Okay, only one ring. Then there is your adenine, guanine. If you observe here, there are two rings. This is for RNA. RNA uracil. Okay, when I say a uracil, the reason why we have kept in two different boxes here is, in RNA you will find uracil and in DNA you will find thymine. So when there is conversion of DNA to RNA, okay, there is a conversion step. So in your genetic expression, there is your conversion step. So what is genetic expression? I'll explain you in a while. So during that expression, thymine gets replaced to uracil. So this is conversion from DNA to RNA. So when I say from DNA to RNA, we are talking about the first step of expression. It has to express, the genetic information has to express. For example, the curly nature of the hair. In the DNA, the gene is present. So what is gene? A segment of DNA. So this DNA has to produce RNA. Okay. So that process is called as transcription. Transcription. Okay. Don't worry, I'll explain. Transcription. I'm writing short form. So I hope you understood. So there is your conversion of DNA to RNA. So when there is DNA to RNA, now imagine the strand has everywhere T over here. So in the RNA, it will turn to U. Wherever T comes, it will turn to U. So there is synthesis of RNA from DNA. So that step is called as transcription. So transcription is the first step for gene expression. Okay, gene expression. Now when I say gene expression, example I'll give you, the curly nature of the hair. How does it appear curly? So it is the expression of the DNA itself. So what is that expression? This DNA has to produce enzymes. Okay, it has to produce enzymes. So now you understood there is your DNA. Then from DNA you're getting RNA. So DNA, RNA. And this step you have understood, it is called as transcription. From RNA we have to get proteins. Now proteins you know very well. Now when I say proteins, enzymes are made up of proteins. Okay, remember, Enzymes are made up of proteins. Therefore, this step, synthesis of protein, is called as translation. Translation. So this is the second step, okay, in gene expression. Second step in gene expression. So you have got the idea of what the DNA can do or can prepare into just to express its character. So you have understood about the nitrogenous base here. There is thymine, cytosine, okay, pyrimidine, which is called as pyrimidine. Then uracil is also called pyrimidine, but only replacing the thymine in RNA. Then in case of purines, there are two ringed structures, that is your adenine and guanine. This has already come in your previous first PUC chapters. So you have understood about the sugar component. Now about the phosphate component. Okay, so you have understood about this phosphate component. Remember, here they have given as a complete structure, the stable structure. It can form as an ionic structure. When I say ion, there is O minus, here also O minus. Even below it will be, I'll just show it behind, okay, O minus. Why am I showing that minus? O will be taking the pair of electrons, right? So the H, when it is, the proton when it is gone away, this particular O, the atom, will be gaining the electron, whereas the proton loses the electron. So here we are saying about the lone pair of electrons here, negative charge. Since the phosphate has negative charge, and you know negative means acid, we say when the DNA is completely made up, that is with the phosphate group, DNA is said to be acidic in nature. Okay, so phosphate in the ionic form, it forms negative charge, and that negative charge makes the DNA acid. Hence the name nucleic acid. Okay, so I hope you got the idea one by one. So that's what I said. First one, nitrogenous bases, purines, adenine, guanine. Pyrimidines, there is your thymine, cytosine, uracil. So pyrimidine means one ring structure. Purines means two ring structure. Okay, two ring structure. What is a ring structure? This is the one. Look at the ring. Okay, you call one ring, right? Somewhat like benzene ring and all you all have. So similarly, we have the ring structures. Okay, so please remember two ring structures, adenine and guanine, purine, and pyrimidine, thymine, cytosine, uracil. So when I say DNA, only this much. Okay, this is all about DNA. RNA, it's only about this much. So I hope you understood, you have got the idea. Let me know if you have any doubt. So that's what I explained here. Thymine is only present in DNA. Uracil is only present in RNA. So uracil is the one which gets placed, okay, replaced in the place of thymine during the transcription. So I have not mentioned the word transcription. A similar thing over here. Now you are seeing the second part, that is the phosphate group, how it gets attached to the ribose sugar or deoxyribose sugar. So just observe. Now you have your so when I show this method, we are talking about your C1. Okay, wait, let me show in different color. there is your C1, C2, C3. What is C? Carbon atom, okay? There is a carbon present there, C4 and C5. So there are 5 carbon skeleton, okay? This is the O, oxygen, okay? So there is 5 carbon arranged in a 5 you can say sided. So we say it as pentose, sugar, 5 carbon atom, that's why it is this kind of sugar. So otherwise there are ring membered, sides will be either 5 sides or 6 sides. So here it is 5 sides, 1 carbon atom is kept out. So this is, you all will understand deeper in your organic chemistry. You remember your pyranose and furanose rings, which I can't explain right now because it's not very important for your detailed structure. You just remember there is your ring structure in ribose. So in your ring structure, we are talking about the position of carbons. So it's given here second carbon atom, third carbon atom, fifth carbon atom. So now where is nitrogenous base attached? Observe where it is attached. It is at the first carbon atom. This is nitrogenous base. Okay. Now observe where is the phosphate group. Phosphate group is here, attached to the fifth carbon atom. Okay. And where is the oxygen lost in DNA? Second carbon atom. Okay. So this much you have understood. Now they have highlighted the third carbon atom. Now this is involved for the next. It has to bond for the next nucleotide. Now coming to the word nucleoside, nucleotide, nucleic acid. So you know about the 3 components of nucleic acid, but it is not complete. The structure is not complete for nucleic acid. This is only nucleotide. Okay, this is nucleotide. I'm just writing short form. Nucleotide. Okay, so if you just remove phosphate, it becomes this sugar and nitrogenous base becomes nucleoside. Just remember that particular part here. So when we say sugar plus now adenine, for example, it is deoxyadenine. I'm not writing the full word. Deoxyadenine. Okay, so when I say sugar plus adenine, what is adenine? Nitrogenous base. So this together it is called nucleoside. Okay, this is your nucleoside, deoxyadenosine. Then so the word becomes from adenine, adenosine. Just observe, I've written here nitrogenous base linked to pentose sugar. At which carbon atom? First carbon atom. Okay, what kind of bond? There is a bond name, N-glycosidic linkage. So it is the glycosidic bond. What it forms? Nucleoside. So that's what I said, sugar plus adenine. Adenine then turns to adenosine in case of RNA. This side I've written about RNA and this side DNA. Just observe, for RNA the word deoxy is not there, whereas for DNA we have placed the term prefix deoxy. So it is adenosine. So in case of DNA, deoxyadenosine. So since I'm talking about DNA only, so remember deoxyadenosine. So sugar plus guanine, it is deoxyguanosine. Then just observe what is that osine given. Okay, and edene suffix. So when sugar plus pentose or the ribose, deoxyribose plus guanine, we get deoxyguanosine. Okay, then sugar plus cytosine, you get deoxycytidine. Then there is your deoxythymidine similarly. So when I see the words here, there is osin for especially your adenine guanine to becomes adenosine guanosine. Okay, so this is your pyrimidine, and then there is your cytidine, thymidine, your purines. Okay, so sorry, these two are purines, these two are pyrimidines. Okay, so I hope you have understood a little the term osin given for purines, and for cytidine, thymidine, it is given for the pyrimidines. Just avoid the confusion. See here they have given 2-ringed purine, single ring, it is your pyrimidines. Okay, so just remember thymidine, uracil, uridine, cytosine, cytidine, just the word pyrimidine. Okay, whereas your purines, we give it as adenine as adenosine and guanine as guanosine. So the terms are clear, I hope. When that term comes, only with the bonding with sugar, so the bond is shown here to the first carbon atom. And what is that bond name? N-glycosidic bond. So you have understood about it. Now coming to the further discussion, let me show over here. Now you can find a chain has to be created. Now this is called as nucleic acid. Okay, so when I say nucleic acid, it is a polymer. So this is nucleotide, this is nucleic acid. So compare it, nucleotide is a unit of nucleic acid. Okay, remember, nucleotide is a unit of nucleic acid. So you have got the idea, this is one component, and in that component again there are subcomponents. Okay, subcomponents. So you can say nucleotides are monomers, so nucleic acid is a polymer. So now this polymer, observe here how they are connected. So just see, there is something shown here. Observe carefully. There is from this part, okay, there is a bonding. Let me show it over here for you. So imagine if this is the, sorry, this is for me it's little difficult to draw here. So imagine this is the deoxyribose sugar, this is H, that's why I'm trying to say deoxy. Now this is the third carbon atom, right, OH. What happens is, this is the first nucleotide, there is your nitrogenous base, there is your phosphate group. Now there is one more, which I'm drawing here. Let me draw it here. Very sorry, let me draw it properly for you. So this is your H, this is OH. So my main highlight is, this is CH2OH, the fifth carbon atom. The fifth carbon atom is here, and this is the third carbon atom. So remember, I am highlighting two places, fifth carbon atom, third carbon atom. Third carbon atom has OH group. Okay, remember, third carbon atom has OH group. Now here, instead of OH, phosphate comes and binds. Remember, phosphate, PO4 3 minus. Recall the structure, 4 oxygen atoms. In that 3 the hydrogens are removed, 3 minus will come. Okay, so you remember the structure like that. So there is H that is gone, PO4 that is bonding. So 5 prime has, we see the end 5 prime, we give the name like this, and here 3 prime. So we give a mark like that, 3 prime. Now observe what I am doing. So there is one more nucleotide. So it has the nitrogenous base here, even there was nitrogenous base here. Okay, now here there is your CH2O PO, like that it goes. Okay, so this 3 structure, there is a bonding between 5th carbon atom and 3rd carbon atom OH group. I hope you can see it. So when I say from the 3rd carbon atom, the OH, okay, this is from the 3rd carbon atom, and from the other nucleotide, the 5th carbon atom having CH2O P I'm just giving it as this is minus, O minus. Okay, so 3 O minus are there. So there is your bonding between these two. Okay, there is a bonding between the OH group and the phosphate group of the 5 prime of the second nucleotide. This is the first nucleotide from the 3 prime end, that is the 3rd carbon atom. What we get is your phosphodiester bond. Just observe here the picture, it is much more clear for you. So you can see a phosphodiester bond in between. The picture, it doesn't give much clear photo for you. So when I say phosphodiester, I'll write it and send it to you all, okay? It's difficult right on the screen. The phosphodiester bond, I will send it to you. So now you just remember phosphodiester. When I say diester, there is your phosphodiester bond this side as well as this side. You just observe where they are pointing it. So you can see there are 2, one is here, one is here. That's why diester, okay? So between P and O, there is your one ester bond. As well as the same P and the other side, it is another ester bond. So that is why the term phosphodiester bond. So with the help of these phosphodiester bonds, we get a chain of nucleotides, which we call it as polynucleotide. Okay, polynucleotide, another name. Polynucleotide, DNA polymer, nucleic acid. But nucleic acid, when we say, we are saying there is some kind of additional structure, and that you'll understand about the pairing of the 2 strands. Remember, nucleic acid may be single stranded or double stranded. Okay, it can occur single. So if you look at only one strand, it can occur single, or it can occur in 2 strands. Okay, so we'll come under this DNA polymer now. So you understood it is prepared by the bonding of 5th end of the one nucleotide and the 3rd end of the another nucleotide, and the bonding leads to the formation of phosphodiester bond. So that's how the nucleotide keeps on adding, forming phosphodiester bond. and forms finally the long polymer of deoxyribonucleotides. Now, the length of the DNA can vary from organism to organism. How long can it be? See, here they have given certain examples. It is based on the number of nucleotides, okay? So when I say the number of nucleotides, which we are referring to base pairs. When I say base pairs, remember we are talking about this base pair. Okay, let me give you an idea now itself. You can see there are two bondings here between A and T, and between G and C there is three bondings. We are talking about hydrogen bonds here. Okay, hydrogen bonds. So remember, this is called as base pair and it is universally accepted. A pairs with T, T pairs with A, then C pairs with G, G pairs with C. It cannot pair with something else. If it pairs with something else, then there it is a defective nitrogenous base. Okay. Now, examples are given. So, for example, Psi 174, we give the word as Psi. So, it has 5386 nucleotides. Why am I saying nucleotides? This bacteriophage is having single strand of DNA. Single strand of DNA. Now coming to another bacteriophage. I hope you know what is bacteriophage. We are talking about virus here. Now this bacteriophage, lambda, so psi is done, now lambda. So that has base pairs. Now we are talking about base pairs. It is 48,502. Then your bacteria, Escherichia coli, it has your 4.6 into 106 base pairs. I think it should be 10 to the power 6. There's some mistake I have done. Yeah. So it is 10 to the power 6. Okay, not 106. We write the mathematical expression as 10 to the power 6. Right? So that is how we have to explain. You know your micro, we represent 10 to the power 6. And then in case of haploid content of human DNA, 3.3 into 10 to the power 9 nano base pairs. Okay, so this is nano value. Now you should know who is the first person to discover nucleic acid. So it was Friedrich Mischer, and he termed it as nuclein. Okay, the nucleic acid was termed as nuclein before. So now we are studying the structure now of the DNA polymer or of the polynucleotide chain. So this is your answer. In this, the structure is missing some parts. Now I'll show you what is that. So when I say 5' end, this you are just following it, the strand, and the end of that strand is 3'. Similarly, the other one is 3' end. It is anti-parallel, okay? So 5' to 3'. 5' to 3'. So remember, 5' to 3' is the direction of reading. Okay, direction of reading. We say 5' to 3' and all. So that is how it is easy for us to remember, to say, to explain. So these two are anti-parallel. When I say anti-parallel, one runs down, one runs up. Now observe the method of drawing I have given in the last, the way the helix is formed. So DNA occurs in the form of helix. Okay, DNA occurs in the form of helix. Now if you observe, there is your gap here and small gap here. There are two gaps, one is large gap and small gap. In one twist, one turn. So when I say one turn, this is the starting point. it has gone one turn and come back to the same point again. Okay, but same point in the sense, same axis again, the position. Okay, so you can even say it as a pitch, like how we say a ball, when you drop it, it will pitch this way, right? It will pitch this way. That's why we explain the same thing, one pitch, one turn. Okay, so in that one pitch it has two grooves. Okay, so I'll go in detail one by one for you. First, you should know who is the person who had, proposed this model. So there is James Watson and Francis Crick. They gave this double helix model, and these got the Nobel Prize, Watson and Francis Crick. But actually, the work was done by Rosalind Franklin and Maurice Wilkins. They were not recognized. It was later on fought, and they said it was their data, the X-ray diffraction, their data taken by Watson and Crick, and gave a complete detail which was acceptable. Actually, Rosalind Franklin was the person who was close. She was very close. So this is how, even at the old times, there was a kind of a game played on women so that they will not be successful. And that's what happened. They say the story is going that way, but it was not the end. Since she did the basics, she's still known as the person who did the first person to, she as well as Maurice, first person people to find the structure of DNA through the X-ray diffraction. So this was advanced microscopy, and James Watson and Francis Crick used their idea and gave a more acceptable model. Okay, and which was very clear with the proof. So that's how they were successful. Otherwise they wouldn't even find the DNA of structure. Okay, these two wouldn't even find the DNA structure. So they have used the data of Maurice and Rosalind. There is one more person's idea they had used, Erwin Chargaff. So it was all the base pairing, how they are paired. That was explained by the Chargaff. So using the three people's data, Watson and Crick was able to give an excellent model of DNA, that is the double helix model. So you can see how happy they are and how they have explained the DNA model here. So coming to your double helix model, there is your two polypeptide chains. When I say two polypeptide chains, you remember one runs down, one runs up. Okay, so double helix, when we say double helix, because it is coiling, you can see it is coiling. Yes. Now the backbone is constituted of sugar and phosphate. So what is it that sugar and phosphate? So observe here. Let me show you the picture over here. So you can see here sugar and phosphate backbone. Sugar and phosphate. Okay. With the help of nitrogenous base. So you got the idea. This is your nucleic acid. Now, so you have understood the backbone is made up of sugar, phosphate. Yes, it is made up of sugar and phosphate bondings. That is your phosphodiester linkages you can find. Then you find the chains are anti-parallel. That's what I explained. Polarity is one chain having 5' to 3'. The other one, as same as this, okay, direction, it will be 3' to 5'. Okay. So I hope you got it. 5' to 3', 3' to 5'. That's what they are saying here. So when you write here, it is 5' to 3', and this is 3' to 5'. So it's actually going anti-parallel. Okay, it is going anti-parallel. That's why I said reading of the strand. For us, when we read a strand, we read it from 3 to 5. So the sequence of DNA we read always like this. Okay. So as we study, you'll come to know what is that reading strand in case of the molecular basis. Okay. Molecular biology, the reading strand is different. I'm saying about the reading strand, that is for us, how we read the strand on a DNA. We usually take the sequence 5' to 3'. Okay. Now coming to the nitrogenous bases, they are paired with the help of hydrogen bond. Okay. Now pairing, we give the term complementary. So even the whole chain will be complementary. Just to go back, I'm going back to show you the picture here. This is called as a complementary strand. Why complementary? Now this strand is having a different sequence, but this sequence is complementary to the other strand. Why complementary? Because of the proper base pairing. Correct base pair will give the double stranded nature. It should be properly paired. If it cannot pair, then it will form a loop like this and continue. So this loop should not form. It should show the pairing. Then only we call it as double stranded and complementary. Okay. Okay, it is complementary here. So you can find here. So observe here, whatever the steps of the ladder it looks like, those are your base pairs. And observe what is present in the base pairs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is behind. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I'm just taking in one turn, there are around 10 base pairs which are complementary. Okay. So this one turn, the one turn is shown here, is 3.4 nanometer. And between the base pairs, now there is one T and A base pair, then G and C base pair. So between those two, I'm showing the distance between the steps. Whatever the distance you find is 0.34 nanometer. Okay. So in your textbook, if it is told in nanometer, please follow in nanometer. You can follow any nanometer or Armstrong. In your textbook, it is a nanometer itself. In some books, if you are referring some books, it will be in Armstrong. So 1 decimal point shift will be there. So if it is 3.4 nanometer, we will write it as in Armstrong as 34 Armstrong. Okay. So it is 10 to the power 10. Armstrong means 10 to the power 10. Nano means 10 to the power 9. So I was here. So this, as we were explaining, remember there are two grooves, minor and major groove, that is formed during the helix. So I hope you have understood about two polynucleotide chains, sugar phosphate backbone, anti-parallel polarity, base pairing with the help of hydrogen bonds, and polynucleotide chains are complementary. So you got the keywords. Then coming to hydrogen bonds, how many are there between adenine and thymine? It is 2 hydrogen bonds. Even if it is the other way around, thymine and adenine, it is still 2 itself. Guanine and cytosine will have 3 hydrogen bonds. So remember, guanine and cytosine has 3 hydrogen bonds, which is more stronger than the adenine thymine bond, hydrogen bond. So as a result, we are following the Chargaff's rule here. A purine comes opposite to a pyrimidine. What is that purine comes opposite to a pyrimidine? This is your, when I say thymine, we are saying the single ring structure. So single ring structure means pyrimidine. Adenine, 2 ring structure. Okay, adenine is purine. So remember, pyrimidine and purine bonding takes place. So here it is two hydrogen bonds, whereas guanine and cytosine. So this is again your purine, pyrimidine. Bonding is with 3 hydrogen bonds. So you understood a purine always pairs with pyrimidine here. Now there is the Chargaff's rule which I want to tell. So because the purine pairs with pyrimidine, we have a particular definition or a standard sentence here about how the pairing is done and how it is occurring in number or as a ratio. So remember, ratios between adenine and thymine. So this is one ratio, and guanine and cytosine, this is second ratio, are constant and equals to 1. So I hope you understood ratios between adenine and thymine and guanine and cytosine. So it is almost like A plus T will be equal to or equivalent to G plus C. Why? Because your purines, this is your purines, will be equal to pyrimidines. I'll write pyrimidines this way. So it is easy for you to identify. So purines will be equal to pyrimidines, that is all equal to, the ratio will be equal to 1. Ratio will be equal to 1. So when I say ratio, I am saying A plus T, G plus C, okay, is equal to 1. So that is the ratio we are talking about. It is constant and equals to 1. So I hope you understood. Now the two chains are coiled in right-handed. So if you just lift your hand as a thumbs up position, how you show thumbs up? You just try your own hand. Keep your hand in thumbs up position. Now just show your other 4 fingers, leaving your thumb, just open and close. You can see your direction of coiling. Okay, that direction of coiling is called as right-handed fashion of the two chains. This particular is your right-handed, we say this way. So it is your right-handed fashion of coiling. We say as A, B, D, and like that DNA. So this is your B DNA. Right-handed means B DNA. CT point of view I'm saying. Then there is your one pitch, which I said one turn. One turn. So one and it comes back. Okay, so this is called as one turn. It is one pitch consisting of 10 base pairs. Length I said before 3.4 nanometer. Okay, so there is your diameter also. When we say diameter, it is 2 nanometer. Okay, 2 nanometer is the diameter, and between that I have not written there, between the two consecutive, you have to write it down now itself, between the two consecutive nitrogenous base pairs, okay, or you can write directly base pairs, between the two base pairs in the helix, the distance is 0.34 nanometer. Okay, so it is easy for you to remember. 34 is there, just the decimal number is the different places, they are in different places, so you can easily remember. So just remember them. I hope it is easy now for you after identifying some of the key points. So here the key points is about the pairing with hydrogen bonds, 2 hydrogen bonds here, 3 hydrogen bonds for G and C. Purine always pairs with pyrimidine, that you'd remember. Right-handed fashion, one pitch, that is the turn, 10 base pairs, and length of that one turn is 3.4 nanometer. And between the, you can see the distance between the two consecutive nucleotides or base pairs is equal to 0.34 nanometer, which I've not explained here. I'll explain and then I'll type and then I'll send it to you all. Then there is your the Chargaff's rule. Okay, Chargaff's rule we say, where the ratio of purines and pyrimidines are constant and equal to 1. Okay, so I hope it is clear. Any doubts, let me know. This is how you have to draw. So you can easily draw like a wave. Nice wave you draw. So and then you draw the another wave going parallel. So when I say go parallel, see it goes parallel here, it goes parallel here. So first when you are drawing, draw aram se, and then you are drawing the next. Going parallel, okay? Keep trying until you get the perfect one, and then after that, see how we are drawing the 5 prime, following that lead and then naming it 3 prime. The other one, 5 prime is here, 3 prime is here. So it is anti-parallel. Okay. Then you are supposed to draw the base pairs. This much is enough. So if you have any doubts, let me know. Okay. Yes. Thank you.